Hey YouTube, Tech Freckle here again. Today we're going to go over tables. So this is the tables lesson, and it looks like there's a quiz after this, and then a project, but I think the project I'll put into another video. So let's get started. Create a table. Before displaying data, we must first create the table that will contain the data by using the table element. Okay. Table element will contain all of the tabular data we plan on displaying. In index.html, create a table just above the closing body tag. Okay. All right. In many programs that use tables, the table is already predefined for you, meaning that it contains the rows, columns, and cells that will hold data. In HTML, all of these components must be created. The first step is entering the data into the tables is to add rows using the table row element. So tr. Okay. Add 2 rows to the table. Okay. 2 rows now. Rows aren't sufficient to add data to a table. Each cell element must also be defined. In HTML, you can add data using the table data element, TD. All right, so table needs table rows and it needs table data in the table row. Okay, so in the example above, 2 data points, 73 and 81, were entered in the one row that exists. By adding 2 data points, we created 2 cells of data. If the table were displayed in the browser, it should show a table with 1 row and 2 columns. Okay, that's what I was going to wonder, if there's anything about columns that you have to add. Okay, in the second row, okay, so in the second row, add 3 cells of data. So we're going to put DD. Adams Greenworks. Team package items. Cool. Right, next one. Table headings. Table data doesn't make much sense without titles to describe what that data represents. To add titles to rows and columns, you can use the table heading element. Table heading, okay. Table heading element is used just like table data element, except with a relevant title. Just like table data, a table heading must be placed within a table row. Okay, what happened in the code above? First, a new row was added to hold the 3 headings. A blank heading, a Saturday heading, and a Sunday heading. The blank heading creates the extra table cell necessary to align the table headings correctly over the data they correspond to. In the second row, 1 table heading was added as a row title, temperature. Okay. Rendered, this code will appear similar to the image below. Okay. Note also the use of the scope attribute, which can take one of 2 values. Row, this value makes it clear that the heading is for a row. Column, this value makes it clear that the heading is for a column. Okay. Scope, call scope. Okay. HTML code for tables may look a little strange at first, but analyzing it piece by piece helps make the code more understandable. In the first row, add 3 table headings. Okay, so what is the table heading? Again, TH, TH. Okay. So the heading should contain the company name, items to ship, and the next action. Okay, those headings will add meaning to the rest of the data in the table. Okay. Could technically add the scope. It's gonna make us add the scope. each of these new headings. Okay, so table borders. So far, the tables you've created have been a little difficult to read because they have no borders. In older versions of HTML, a border could be added to a table using the border attribute and setting it equal to an integer. This integer would represent the thickness of the border. Okay, the code in the example above is deprecated, so please don't use it. It's meant to illustrate older conventions you may come across when reading other developers' code. The browser will likely still interpret your code correctly if you use the border attribute, but that doesn't mean the attribute should be used. We use CSS to style HTML documents because it helps us to separate the structure of a page from how it looks. You can learn more about CSS in our CSS courses. You can achieve the same table border effect using CSS. Okay, the code in the example above uses CSS instead of HTML to show the table borders. We're going to need some more data in the table. Add the following data to the table. Make sure to place it after the second row. So here. Okay. So we've added that. What if the table contains data that spans multiple columns? For example, a personal calendar could have events that span across multiple hours or even multiple days. Data can span columns using the call span attribute. The attribute accepts an integer greater than or equal to 1 to denote the number of columns it spans across. In the example above, the data out of town spans the Monday and Tuesday table headings using the value 2. The data back in town appears only under the Wednesday heading. An index HTML span TD element across 2 columns. Okay. What pushes it? Interesting. Okay, span rows. Data can also span multiple rows using the row span attribute. The row span attribute is used for data that spans multiple rows. Perhaps an event goes on for multiple hours on a certain day. It accepts an integer greater than or equal to 1 to denote the number of rows it spans across. In the example above, there are 4 rows. The first row contains an empty cell and the 2 column headings. The second row contains the morning row heading along with work, which spans 2 rows under the Saturday column. The relax entry spans 3 rows under the Sunday column. The third row only contains the afternoon row heading. The fourth row only contains the dinner entry since relax spans into the cell next to it. If you'd like to see how browser interprets the code above, feel free to copy paste it into the code editor to understand it better. Okay. So here, let's see. Span a TD element across 2 rows. I guess it would make sense if I did that somewhere like here. Oops. Yeah, so it would make more sense. Table body. Over time, a table can grow to contain a lot of data and become very long. When this happens, the table can be sectioned off so that it's easier to manage. Long tables can be sectioned off using the table body element tbody. The tbody element should contain all of the table's data, excluding the table headings. More on this in a later exercise. Okay. In the examples above, all of the table data is contained within a table body element. Note, however, the headings were also kept in the table's body. We'll change this in the next exercise. Enclose rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get rid of that. Get rid of this as well. It's just so that we're back to square one. And then we're going to enclose Table head. In the last exercise, the table's headings were kept inside of the table's body. When a table's body is sectioned off, however, it also makes sense to section off the table's columns or table's column headings using the T-head element. The example above, the only new element is T-head, which is there. The table headings are contained inside of this element. Note that the table's head still requires a row in order to contain the table headings. Additionally, only the column headings go under the T-head element, which you can use the scope attribute on TH elements to indicate whether a TH element is being used as a row heading or column heading. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Table footer. The bottom part of a long table could also be sectioned off using the T-foot element. In the example above, the footer contains the totals of the data in the table. Footers are often used to contain sums, differences, and other data results. Add a table footer. At the bottom of the table, using the T-foot element, inside of the footer, add the following data. Okay, so go look for the end of the table. We're going to go this in there. Close the T-foot. It's up here. What's going? Oh, closed inside the table. All right. Total 28. Boom. Look at that. The only thing is that sucks that it's manual. There's got to be a way to actually get the values. Probably JavaScript or something. Styling with CSS. Tables by default are very bland. They have no borders. The font color is black and the typeface is the same type used for other HTML elements. CSS, or cascading style sheets, is a language that web developers use to style the HTML content on a web page. You can use CSS to style tables. Specifically, you can style the various aspects mentioned above. Okay, so we've got the table. This is the table header, table data. So it applies to everything, it looks like. Border is 1 pixel. It is solid and black. Font family Arial, sans serif. Text line center. And then if we did left, it'd probably put everything to the left box. So the code in the example above demonstrates just some of the various table aspects you can style using CSS properties. We've included a CSS file containing instructions for styling the HTML content in the index file. In style CSS, set the font size of the table headings. Font size of all table headings and table data to 18 pixels. Is there an order that they have this in? I don't see. After font weight, we go font size. 18. 18x. Okay. View. Great job. In this lesson, we learned how to create a table and add data to it, section the table into smaller parts to make it easier to read. Let's review what we've learned so far. The table element creates a table. The table row adds table row table. To add data to a row, you can use the TED element, so table data. Table headings clarify the meaning of data. Headings are added with the TH element. Table data can span columns using the call span attribute. Table data can also span rows using the row span attribute. Tables can be split into 3 main sections: a head, a body, and a footer. A table's head is created with the T-head element. A table's body is created with the T-body element. A table's footer is created with the T-foot element. All the CSS properties you learned about in this course can be applied to tables and their data. Congratulations on completing HTML tables. Take some time to experiment with your new knowledge of tables and index HTML. When you're done, proceed to the next unit. All right, let's take a look. There should be a quiz here. All right, which tag adds a new row header to an HTML table? Think about this for a second here. This is too fresh. Which tag adds a new row header? No. Scope row. This will create a heading, but we don't know if it is a row or a column. True. Okay. I see. Which tag adds new data to an HTML? So table data. Which tag should surround an entire table of data? Table itself. Yeah. Which tag creates new rows in an HTML table? TR. Which of the following tags is used to separate the body of the table from its headers and footers? So it'd be T body. Which of the following tags is used to separate the footer of the table from its body? So T foot. What does the following code do? Okay, so we have table row, table data, which spans two columns out of town, and then it's back in town. So it creates a cell that will span two columns and a cell that will span a single column. Adds a 1 pixel, creates a cell that spans two rows, makes a cell. This one. All right, which of the following tags is used to enclose the row of a table containing its headers? Which of the following tags is used to enclose the row of a table containing its headers? T-head, okay. One incorrect. The TH tag alone creates a heading, but adding a scope row attribute specifically defines that heading as a row header in an HTML table, providing accessibility for screen readers and other assistive technologies. All right. So I think, yeah. All right, we'll leave this project for the next video. See you there.